Welcome to SI Counseling Podcast, where we help our students grow into men and women committed to faith and justice, leadership and service, academic excellence, and compassion. Here, we help students find information to help and improve themselves throughout high school and into college. You can follow us on social media at SI Counseling on Twitter.
So we are here at the NACAC 2018 College Fair in Salt Lake City. And then you just flew in right today, correct?
Yes, today.
Okay. And who we are with now, do you prefer Juliane or Julie?
I like both.
Oh, you like both?
Either works.
Okay. So Juliane Dressner, you are the director of Personal Statement. That is a documentary that's won tons of awards following these three Brooklyn seniors, not only just in the college process, but beyond college as well, too, working as also peer advisors on that. So what inspired this story?
Well, when I learned that young people were working in their high schools as peer college counselors, and I immediately was interested. I was interested in doing a film about educational equity.
Right.
And when I learned that young people were taking it upon themselves to close the college counseling gap in their schools, I realized that this would probably be a good opportunity to understand the obstacles that they faced, but also to be inspired by what they were doing to surmount them, not only for themselves, but for every single student in their schools.
Yeah, and you've done a lot of documentaries showing the characters and making it very real about these hidden stories that a lot of people don't talk about. Like a lot of people are talking about test scores, admissions, and rates of how to get in and how all these colleges want students, from underrepresented backgrounds, but never really see the stories and the struggles on there. What has made you always feature on all these documentaries through the years doing that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I tend to make character-based films that get at social issues.
Right.
But in particular, I am really drawn to making films about young people who are solving the problems that they face, simply because I find them to be incredibly inspirational. When I first learned that young people were doing this kind of community organizing work, it was before I was a filmmaker. And I was working, basically documenting different kinds of social programs.
Right.
And I would write these reports about this amazing work that these young people were doing in their communities. And not that many people were reading those reports. And also, in a way, just reading about it I realized was not enough. That to see how powerful these young people were and how important the work they were doing was, you had to see it. And so that's in part why I turned to film. And I started to make first short films. I made a short about young people who were working on police reform. I made another one about young people who were working on immigration reform. And so when I learned, that young people were working also to help many of their peers access higher education when otherwise the rates were very, very low in their schools, I was immediately interested and thought this is something that I should consider making a movie about.
Yeah, so you have inspired your life, and then despite all the odds, I mean, on your website, so correct me if I'm wrong, it's personalstatementfilm.com, right?
That's right.
So they could find more information about it. Oh, and all the way, also on my notes, like you won awards, the October Film Selection, the Woodstock Film Festival, Middlebury New Filmmaker Festival, Black Harvest Film Festival. That's just some of the awards of all the great things. But you also put stats to educate the viewers, right? And people who are interested in that. And on there, you talk about like by 2020, 65% of all jobs will require higher education. On average, college graduates make $1 million more dollars over their lifetime than those who only graduate from high school. 95% of all high school students who have college aspirations. So it's not like kids don't want to go to college. 95% want to go to college, but many of them can't get there as a result of, and this is a big thing on your film, is because of income inequity that persists out there, right? That's on there. And so can you talk about like what made you choose these schools that both Karoline, and then Christine and Enoch were at? Like what made you choose these type of schools?
Well, my starting point was the program that was training them to work as peer college counselors in their schools. So that organization is called Cara. It's College Access Research and Action.
Right.
And they had targeted schools in New York City where there was a particular need for additional college counseling support. So, New York City has some of the most segregated schools in the country. So these happen to also all be schools that are almost entirely educating low-income kids of color. And like so many schools around the country, they don't have enough college counseling support.
Right.
And as you mentioned, most of the kids want to go to college, and for good reason.
Yeah.
They know that that's their best bet of being able to earn a living wage. And again, it is a national issue. It's not just a New York City issue, although the film is set in New York City. The average school counselor to student ratio in the country is 1 to 490.
Yeah.
And those school counselors often are not trained in college, in the college process, or in the financial aid process, which can be incredibly complicated. And they say that they can spend an average of 22% of their time on counseling, so on college counseling.
Yeah.
And so this program, Cara, has come up with a great way to help fill the college counseling gap in those schools by training young people to work alongside adults to be peer college counselors in their schools. So the way I got to those particular schools was because I started by collaborating with the folks at Cara, and I met the 70, I came to the first day of training when the three main characters in the film, Karoline, Enoch, and Christine, were learning to they were being trained to work as peer college counselors. They were 3 of 70 young people from all over the city who were being trained. And so I didn't really select the schools. I came and I met the young people and found some, like Karoline, who's here with us right now, who were interested in collaborating on a film. And then I therefore filmed in their schools.
Okay, and then Sue made it really real, not only for the viewers, but also a message for administrators to see that. Because I remember when I started off in San Francisco at Thurgood Marshall, my principal, Dr. Samuel Butcher, created a fund just to have just a college counselor, which was unheard of at the time for San Francisco Unified School District. So he picked me out from the college arena to do that, and this is back in the 90s, so this is not a common thing to do. So I give him much credit for doing that, and I think you're trying to urge more administrators to know that this is a must.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's our goal. The impact campaign for the film is we want to shed light on the fact that college counseling is super important. And there is not enough of it, especially in public schools that are educating low-income students, and that we need to put resources into just that, into providing more college counseling in those schools.
No, and I know over my credential program, my graduate program, there was nothing about college, so we had to learn it. But what inspired me to learn more is someone like Karoline, who was featured in the film, that with students wanting more. So Karoline, can you talk about how you became a peer advisor through the Cara program and what motivated you to do that? Because there's so many things that's happening for a high school student. Adding one more thing, having more responsibility, is a lot.
Yeah. Well, when I first started as a youth leader, I started on my senior year. I didn't even have an interview or anything like that. I didn't go through the whole process that my other peers went through. I had Irma, who told me that I would be a great fit. Irma used to be my college counselor in the school and my supervisor. And I decided to give it a shot. Of course, I was afraid, unaware, uncertain of the responsibility that being a peer mentor, a college counselor, was going to demand. And then thanks to that, I started getting trained by Cara.
Yes.
And that's where I met Julie. That's where I met Christine, Enoch, Andrew. That's where I met everybody else. And then from that separately, after I graduated high school, I kept working as a college bridge coach, also trained by Cara. by working directly with Cypress Sales Local Development Corporation, helping my seniors get to college as well. I can tell you so much about the process and the challenging aspects of it, but all I can tell you is that it changed me as a person.
Right.
Because, you know, when people help other people, they usually focus on the help that they're giving. But my peers also helped me, because I was very quiet and timid, and I was not determined. I was not a great student. I wasn't the leader that I am now. And helping them and seeing them succeed gave me that inspiration that I needed. It taught me that I underestimated myself. It taught me that I used to believe that I wasn't going to make it places. And they helped me see that in myself by helping them. So it was like a back and forth help exchange. I was helping them, and in exchange, they were helping me. They were helping me grow.
Right. And, you know, and for years, there's programs like, they're called community-based organizations, like CBOs, and there's great counselors in all different schools, both public and private. But there's always this statement, people say, people fall through the crack. And, you know, and there's a statement that you made in a previous interview, which I thought was great. You said, history cannot keep repeating itself. We cannot expect for change to work on its own.
Absolutely.
And so what is it that a peer advisor can do that sometimes these adult organizations with the best intentions, you know, like you said, like they give a lot of hope, but there's something that's missing because there are still students that fall through the cracks. So what is it that a peer advisor like yourself that fills in that crack for so many students?
You know, I've always said that there is no better way to tell your story, or for somebody to tell your story, other than, you know, if it's not somebody like you.
Right.
You know, and I'm not just speaking for myself, but I am speaking for all the young people that I represent, and for all the young people that I'm standing up for. And I always say this a lot. I feel as though we as young people, we are being underestimated, and people don't believe in us, that they think that we don't have what it takes to succeed, to make it somewhere. But in reality, and it has been shown in a lot of places, you give a young person the key and they just don't open doors.
Right.
They create a new house for you.
Right.
Because we are creative, because we are willing to do what it takes to make change. The thing is, though, that we don't have the power over that.
Yes.
Because I am completely certain that if, as a young people, if we can make change, if we had the power to change certain things, and history wouldn't keep repeating itself, and change would already happened. But the thing is that we live in a society right now where education, we're not necessarily looking at the value of education, but rather the price. And that is happening because people don't believe in ourselves enough, that we don't believe in us anymore.
Right.
Because that's what society is telling us. Should we believe in you? So then we start asking ourselves, and why should we believe in ourselves? It's like a reflection, you know? So I feel like everything needs to change. And, you know, people keep saying that the future belongs to the young people, and that the young people have the key to a better tomorrow. But that's not truly the case. You know, actions are not matching words, and words are being repeated so much that they're losing their meaning.
Yes.
They're becoming an unkept promise. And I feel like as though young people, we are tired of waiting for a tomorrow that's never going to come. We are tired of waiting for change that's not going to happen, which is why I'm glad that I'm part of this film, which is why I'm glad that I allowed Julie to film and captivate my vulnerability, because I need all the young people to realize that it is okay to feel alone. It is okay to fail. It is okay to feel as though you're not going to make it somewhere, because at the end of the day, those things are going to make you exactly who you are as a person. And those things are going to be the things to help you grow and want to be and change tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking forward to a better tomorrow.
That's right. And today, you know, so at this NACAC conference, there's a lot of different people, right? Yep. And unfortunately, there's not that many students, you know, that are here. That's a missing ingredient. So for people who may be listening to this podcast, from the colleges, like, I've always heard many colleges, we want more students from underrepresented schools. There's some of them that meet full need and this and that. I was in a session today where somebody said, we want this, but other counselors said, yes, but it's so hard for them to know all the deadlines. What message, if a college was listening to this, that it's important for them to know to reach out to the next Karoline or to your peer advisees that are out there?
Well, I first want to say that admissions in colleges, they have shown a lot of changing to do. Mostly because I feel as though when applying for college, for instance, when doing your personal statement, your college essay, you're writing a statement, you know, and there's just so much that you can prove to be worthy of getting admitted into a school other than a statement. And sometimes you don't have the perfect grades, but you are a good student because all the factors happen. I had a lot of family problems at home that were affecting me, you know, and it's kind of hard for a student to be a student when